The sight of dozens of military aircraft taxiing before takeoff is remarkably uncommon during peacetime operations. On April 16, 2012, a contingent of 70 American F-15 Strike Eagles of the 4th Fighter Wing prepared to take off at the Seymour Johnson Air Force Base in North Carolina. The few people that witnessed the impressive aircraft formation feared that a sudden air conflict was brewing between the United States and an enemy nation. Fortunately, the sleek-looking predators of the sky were performing an elephant walk to commemorate brave Americans who had already fought in such a conflict. Elephant walk. The term elephant walk dates back to the Allied bombing raids over German-controlled territory during World War II. Large fleets of American and British bombers, such as B-17 Flying Fortresses and B-25 gunships, steadily conducted bombing raid missions over Germany that surpassed 1,000 aircraft. As the war progressed, it became extremely difficult for the Germans to hold back the hundreds of aircraft that dropped tens of thousands of bombs in various German cities at a time. According to aviators and onlookers who witnessed such an amount of aircraft at runways, the taxiing of heavy bombers before takeoff in single-line nose-to-tail formations looked like elephants walking towards a watering hole. The term has since been incorporated into the U.S. Air Force lexicon when referring to a maximum sortie surge. An elephant walk is commonly used when preparing squadrons for wartime operations and when training airmen for single mass objectives in which all aircraft within a unit will participate. This type of formation involves a lot of coordination and teamwork. Elephant walks are also effectively used as a show of force, just like the perfectly aligned infantry formations during military parades. A well-known elephant walk was organized by the US and South Korea at the Kunsan Air Base on April 6, 2012. The affair was meant to send the Supreme Leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un, a retaliatory message due to his country's failed ballistic missile tests. Fourth Fighter Wing. The 70 F-15E Strike Eagles of the 4th Fighter Wing that gathered on April 16th at Johnson Air Force Base in North Carolina had a more cheerful objective in mind. The event sought to commemorate the sacrifice of the pilots of the 4th Fighter Wing that took down more than 1,000 Luftwaffe aircraft in World War II. On April 16, 1945, during the last days of the war in the European front, the 4th Fighter Group destroyed approximately 105 enemy aircraft as part of a massive bombing mission. As such, the unit reached a tally of more than 1,000 downed warplanes, the highest number of any group in U.S. Air Force history. The 4th Fighter Group was responsible for eradicating Luftwaffe resistance over France after the Normandy invasion of June 6, 1944. It also withheld continuous setbacks from enemy attacks as ground forces approached the German mainland. The triumph of the 4th is mainly associated with U.S. Army Air Corps Colonel Donald Blakesley, who decided to modify some P-51 Mustangs so they could travel the same distances as the lethal Luftwaffe Messerschmitt 109s, which had excellent range and significant fuel storage. Turkey shooting. The 4th Fighter Wing, with aircrews from several fighter squadrons, would fly across the country in a turkey shoot training mission and generate about 70 sorties to take down 1,000 targets on bombing ranges across North Carolina. Turkey shooting is another term that goes back to World War II. It is said that during a ferocious encounter with Japanese aircraft in the Pacific Theater on June 19, 1944, a U.S. Navy carrier downed 373 Japanese warplanes while only losing 23 American aircraft. After the battle ended, a Navy pilot said that it was, quote, like a turkey shoot. In the Pacific, air power became essential for isolating Japanese forces, firmly dug in a dozen islands as the Americans invaded them before moving forward until they made their way into Japan. The footage from the 2012 celebration shows the American F-15 Strike Eagles taxiing on the runway in perfect formation. In the words of Colonel Patrick Doherty, commander of the 4th Fighter Wing, quote, "This F-15E strike package and turkey shoot honored the excellence and sacrifices of our wing's past while flexing 4th Fighter Wing air power today, sharpening our warfighting spirit and skills as we look toward the future." In doing so, quote, "We proudly carry on the legacy of the 4th FG's victories, as well as those of the Wing's Korean, Vietnam, and Gulf War efforts, and believe it is critically important that current and future generations of airmen understand and celebrate our history, so they can visualize what they will be capable of doing in the future.